Okay, so we could test the microphone now.
Justin, for this interview, I would like to start asking you about how you see the world today. Not the world, your life here in Brazil. Do you try to compare yourself here to the life in the United States? Because uh, on TV we are watching things happening like ICE, the politics, the polarization in the United States. It seems it's going on an extreme level. So, do you have any opinions that you wouldn't mind sharing? For
Yeah.
example,
Well, the thing is that I have a lot of opinions about that. So you asked me a lot of different questions, like starting with maybe my worldview. Let's start with like a simpler question instead of like the whole thing.
Okay.
Could you simplify into question number one? For example?
Yes, as an American, uh, how does it feel to live in Brazil? You speak Portuguese, you understand the language, but you told me that you express yourself better in your native language. So, about this communication aspect, how do you feel uh, going using English and Portuguese in your lifestyle and to see yourself as a person, for example?
Well, that's interesting because truly, I feel like, and I think this is common with most people, you feel like you have different personalities in different languages. And for me, I'm in this situation where I feel like Brazil is my home. I feel like what happens in Brazil economically and politically has a deeper impact on my life than the United States. In many aspects, Brazil has a much deeper part of my life than the United States. But at the same time, because of language, I feel like I can never express myself as I could in the United States. So let me put this in example. If I was a leader in the United States, I think in a workplace, let's say, I think I'd be able to be effective. I'd be able to communicate effectively with people and lead people effectively.
Yes.
And culturally. But if I was to do that in Brazil, if I was given the opportunity, I would try it. But the truth of the matter is, I wouldn't be as effective. I wouldn't be able to capture these qualities in me that I would be able to. So it's kind of weird that I feel like I still have this foot of my identity in the United States, but my current identity and future identity is of Brazil. But it's I mean, the best way to say it is like I feel like I'm adopted. Like I came from another family, you know. They could say, "Oh, you look like your dad." Well, I don't know my dad. I don't know who my dad is. You're my dad, aren't you? But you don't look like me. You're my adopted dad. So it's kind of like that thing. Like I could never be that other thing. And sometimes I feel like I wish I could be because I could adapt better in it, but I can't. So it is a challenge.
Let me ask you a more specific question because you told me, I noticed you love history. You showed me a different side of American history that we usually don't get the opportunity to know about it here as Brazilian people. And you read some Brazilian history books. So, do you compare the difference in culture, for example, because some people say we have some kind of stray dog syndrome here, that we are always in submission to other people's power, for example. Do you think this is true, for example? How do you see the difference in history, like Brazilian history and American history?
Well, you're talking about because you asked how does American history compare to Brazil history, and then you asked about
Yes.
what is it, Syndrome de Vira-Lata?
Yes, excellent.
I've heard of it. But
do you see it? Do you agree with this kind of opinion, or do you see history as something that unfolds, for example?
Well, we can say that the United States actively and publicly interfered in Brazilian politics through 1964. It was very public, very well known. The United States even had, I think it was called the National Institute of Social Studies and Family or something. It was a Brazilian organization ran by the CIA, and their job was to do studies that would show how moral decay was happening in society. And that's one of the things that the military government pushed was communism's taking values. One of the greatest supporters of the dictatorship was the Catholic Church. There was many Catholics supportive.
Let me ask you a question about that. Where did you get this information? I think it's interesting to know.
Oh, I just found it in books. One book in particular was called Brazil, a Biography. And it's really good. It's written by a Brazilian. And I think she's a teacher at USP.
Oh, so you read the book in Portuguese?
This one, I got the English translation because it's like a 1,000-page book. And I wasn't one to read. But I usually try to find different sources. And even, believe it or not, I know people say, like, you can't just look at everything on Wikipedia. But sometimes I just pull up things and look at Wikipedia real fast.
For sure. Wikipedia, I think it's legit.
I think it's more legit than people say.
Yes, for sure.
As long as you're not blindly. If 2 + 2 is 4, if you see information here, and Wikipedia says it, it probably agrees. It's probably true, you know.
And usually Wikipedia, they show the source, right? Yeah. So you can check the information.
It's like ChatGPT.
Yes.
If you're a neuroscientist and you're asking ChatGPT questions about neuroscience, you'll probably know what to believe and not to believe. Now, me, if I ask ChatGPT about neuroscience, I probably should never cite it because I don't know enough to really say that's true or not.
Yes.
So I think it's about your level of interpretation. But going into these aspects of United States influence on Brazil, after the dictatorship, we've seen this movement of like a pan-Americanism. And throughout these movements, throughout the late 80s, 90s, we've seen naturally leftist movements that were growing. We've seen Bolivia have like Evo Morales. We went through, the Kirchner families in Argentina, Lula, Hugo Chavez. And the list goes on, actually. I don't know all the leaders. Mm-hmm. And then it kind of moved back and forth. But I think naturally, since the 90s, you have seen a very limited influence of other nations throughout South America. And especially in the United States, we could argue there was Panama. I think that was 1989 when we took Noriega. But there's been very limited involvement outside of economical involvement of other countries. So this idea that Brazil is subservient to other countries, I think number one is a creation of Brazilians. And number two, what's interestingly enough, is that as much as Brazilians say they don't want to be this stray dog, I hear people all the time telling us how much they wish the United States could invade Brazil and remove a politician. Or I see the other side. I see people saying, I wish we had more influence by China. Mm-hmm. And so I see people actually directly wanting nations to be involved in their country, which I don't understand. So I think it's like a self-defeating prophecy, like self-fulfilling prophecy, but I would find it to be limited. And actually, the biggest trade partner of Brazil is not the United States, it's China.
Yes.
And so I don't think there is much of that anymore. I mean, we could say, and even Colombia, which I would say Colombia is the United States' largest strategic partner in South America. I would say Colombia, Panama, Costa Rica, and as much as an American wants to argue against it, Mexico, absolutely.
For sure.
It's our largest trade partner outside of China. But when you look at the notes of Brazil, it's not. It's not. Brazil is a very diversified country.
Let me change the question a little bit, because you as an American, I think sometimes you can feel like you belong to a superpower, but sometimes you can feel like an outcast. So my question to you...
Oh, that's a good... I was thinking about that today, actually. Talking to one of my students in Turkey.
Okay. My question is related to that. I was curious to know, when you feel like you are at home, you feel welcomed, and when you feel like an outcast here. Are there moments like that? Or were you... what were you talking to your student about it?
We were talking about Turkey. And Turkey was once part of the Ottoman Empire.
Yes.
And because Turkey wasn't a country, the Ottoman Empire was a country, and then England and European nations drew some lines and invented Turkey in 1918 after Ottomans were defeated in World War I. And we were talking about how, we are great nation, has so much history. And we went to explain about the United States, where the United States is a great nation, but it has no history. You can't compare the United States to France or Austria.
Yes,
we can't, the Austro-Hungarian Empire or Spain, even in the Roman conquest. These deep histories that go well beyond 2,000 years.
Yes, it's too old.
The United States might have 300 years plus an exterminated other time that we've removed from natives.
For us, which is not a recorded history, unfortunately, we don't know.
Well, going deeper in South America, it's even more tragic, because in the northern parts, the tribes are mostly nomadic and they recorded all their history orally, even up until 300 years ago. But when you look at places like the Aztecs or the Mayans, there were well-documented libraries.
Yes.
There were libraries that would never be found, and they were purposely destroyed. And I find that one of the greatest tragedies in humanity. We're talking about a city larger than Rome that doesn't even exist anymore.
I don't know if I was watching a documentary about it, where the archaeologists, they saw something, they didn't know if it was some kind of fabric or some kind of recording, like a version of a book, for example, because they found a system. So they believed it to be some kind of recorded history of that people.
Yeah. And so, but like getting on to how I feel with the United States, there's something interesting. Number one, the United States is the greatest military power, the wealthiest nation, very possibly in history.
Yes.
And how can I not say that and not feel proud? But as I love history, history is full of many nations that were, at that time, the greatest, most powerful of all time. And so I look at the United States, and I find an admiration in certain values. This idea of breaking the yoke. Church doesn't define me. Culture doesn't define me. My free will defines me. That kind of idea of like, make it, come here, make it, be who you want to be. And of course, it wasn't also true. It usually worked better for white people from Europe, but there was still that idea that didn't exist anywhere in the world. I mean, there's a reason why if you go to Russia today, no matter what anybody says, you don't find hundreds of thousands of Americans living in Russia.
Yes.
We might find up to 1 million Russians living in the United States. That says a lot about the USSR.
Yes, for sure.
And it says a lot about who really was the good guy.
Mm-hmm.
And one thing I do find interesting is, for the most part, Brazilians are very curious and very friendly to me. If there is disagreement, it's never said. It's said in Facebook or YouTube, Instagram, because I do follow Instagram pages, and I do follow right-wing, left-wing ones.
Do you express your opinion on the social platforms?
No, because it's not my place. It won't work.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll give you a common example that I love to say to people. It usually works in Brazil. It'll work with anybody. Someone would say, I heard it's a funny caricature is that the dumb American, I don't know the world around me. But, basically anything we use in our house is made by American science. So that obviously isn't true. So then we go back to, okay, well, our sciences still could be better, but our science levels are up to 12th in the world. Brazil is 92. I was looking recently. And so I find that argument, I don't know why they chose that as an argument, because I almost feel insulting to tell the real numbers. But then we could argue geography. So there is a little bit of truth to that. That most Americans, even including myself, geography is optional in schools. As a pragmatic culture and society, what would we rather teach? Would I rather teach somebody geography in a small town that doesn't really care, doesn't even know other states?
Yes.
Or am I going to teach him how to work on a car, and he can build cars and learn that?
Yes.
They're not going to focus on these kind of nonsensical things. Me, I love history, I love geography, so naturally I'm going to like it. But if you go around the world and ask anybody about geography, I promise you they're probably not so good at it. And if I go around Brazil and I say, what's the capital of Amapá?
Mm-hmm.
What's the second largest river in Brazil? I would be hard pressed to find many Brazilians that could answer those questions. And I could say, this is your own country.
Last year, my student, she couldn't answer what's the capital of the country.
Yeah. So when it comes to geography, it's kind of funny. I would say the reality is this. Humans in general don't care about other countries.
Do you think this is some kind of human condition?
I don't think there's nothing wrong with it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think there's nothing wrong with it, because knowing the capital of Oman is Muscat isn't going to change your life.
Yes.
It just gives you knowledge points, which are really ineffective, because some really considered smart people do really dumb things.
Mm-hmm.
And so to me, this idea of saying that your self-worth is based on how much geography you know is absurd.
Yes. And this kind of knowledge that in America, in English, you have this expression of virtue signaling.
But Americans truly are bad at geography, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's also a double thing. You get that general, truly, humans don't care about geography. I don't think people care. If I go to Brazilians and say, what's the capital of Oman? If I go to my mom and say, what's the capital of Turkmenistan? They're probably not going to know. And it doesn't matter. It's okay.
You are making an interesting point, because I am a public school teacher.
Mm-hmm.
I am a Portuguese public school teacher. And I was talking to a geography teacher last week.
Mm-hmm.
She told me that now the high school students, they only have one geography class a week.
Mm-hmm.
So now the government is trying to invest in a more professional and oriented study curriculum in general, to prepare the students for ENEM. So they want to focus on...
I think that's a problem in itself as well.
Yes.
Is you only prepare students for the ENEM.
Yes.
When I think you could argue that societies with over education at times might do more negative because they have. Let's think about it. Brazil is a society that's commodity based.
Mm-hmm.
The economy of Brazil truly depends on the weather.
Yes.
I mean, that's the truth.
Mm-hmm.
And so the governments are not investing in building silicone factories. They're not investing in, sure, we see these things like, oh, University of Sao Paulo, this doctor developed this medicine. But these kind of things are being mass produced and sold to the world.
Yes.
And you're not hiring people to do these. So Brazil is not needing, and I've heard personally the joke of the guy who becomes an engineer to drive Uber.
Yes.
I've heard that joke in Brazil.
For sure.
So I would say that Brazil's not focusing enough on making skilled labor, not just skilled education, skilled labor, factories that make medical equipment, factories that make technology, factories that produce these kind of things. There's other kinds of capital. People who work in finances. Look at a place like Dubai.
Mm-hmm.
They get most of their money from finances.
Yes.
And so I think this idea say like we need to put all these people through the ENEM so they go through school, don't learn a productive skill out in the real world, so they could possibly maybe take the ENEM. I wonder what the percentage of is. What percentage of your students do you think actually take the ENEM? They really care, not do it because they have to.
Yes.
Parents told them to.
I would guess 30%.
30%.
Yes, but
So-
I am being very optimistic here.
Okay, so 70% of these people, the ENEM doesn't matter to them, and they're going to have to go back out in the workforce with no skills.
Yes. I think it's not only that it doesn't matter to them, but it's not part of their reality.
I understand.
They have other priorities.
It's like where I'm from. I'm from a small city. I would be hard pressed to say that up more than 20% of Greenville, Ohio, has a college education.
Yes,
I said 20 or 10.
20.
I meant 10%.
Yes.
10%.
So
I don't have friends. Out of everybody I know in Greenville, Ohio, I know one person, two people went to university. One quit. One went because the military went for free. And then, interestingly enough, I know two more, and those are my sisters. My sisters actually got it. And they're the first in my family. If I was to get college education, if I was to get a bachelor's degree, I'd be the first man in my mom's and dad's side ever in history.
Yes.
And so, but I know a lot of people who could weld, and they get jobs to go and work on oil rigs because they learned how to weld in high school.
Yes, and they can make a living out of it,
Oh,
right?
yeah. They make more money than teachers.
For sure.
They make a lot of money.
Yes.
They make a lot of money. And so that's the thing. I think people have to take hard realities because as much as I would love to say, let's study humanities all day because that's what I like.
Yes.
The reality is that we're pushing people through a process that really, honestly, doesn't matter to them. And then saying, well, you went to school, good luck in the world, go work at a grocery store. And I think that's an issue.
Let me go back to the question about you living in Brazil. When do you feel like this is your new home? And when do you feel like you are out of the community?
Oh. What? I know exactly when I feel out of the community. When your neighbor is playing loud music and you call the police and they say, we won't help you. Or my brother-in-law was in a motorcycle accident 2 days ago. He's okay. It's fine. No broken bones. But he was driving. A man ran the stop sign, hit him, and say, cara, eu preciso ir agora. Eu preciso ter meu filho. Gave him his phone number and left. And I stopped and I said, Camila, that's not a crime in Brazil? You just left the scene of an accident? He said, no, here in Brazil, maybe the police wouldn't even come because nobody was injured.
No, it is a crime.
Because
by law, even if you hit a dog, for example,
But then what happens then? Like, so what? If he files a bulletin, bail, this man can lose his license?
Probably, but I am not going to defend the efficacy of our laws because
yeah, but that's why I said, like, I feel like this guy did it because he doesn't care.
Yes,
if he knew he was going to lose his license, he probably wouldn't have left to get his son.
The problem here, I think, it's people they don't think about the possibility of losing their license because this is not something in our culture.
Yeah, to me, it's wild.
Yes,
I told her a story once. And this is where I'm getting to. Like, this is why I feel outsider. Because I just think, like, it's so, like, people don't care. Or, like, I see in a video, I think it was here in Minas. I seen a video of a guy. Actually, I've seen two videos like this. But the worst one was, I think, here in Minas. A truck with dog food, cat food, crashed. The man was dead. And people are walking over his dead body to steal dog food.
The man, the driver,
is dead on the street. And people are walking over his body to steal dog food. And to me, I don't understand because I've met a lot of people in Brazil. And I try to imagine my friends or people. And I find it hard to believe that people are that depraved here.
Yeah.
Because I don't see that. Well, I talk to a lot of people, not just my friends. People could say, oh, it's just the people you're around. I've seen a lot of people. And honestly, I find it hard to believe people I've met doing this absurd thing for dog food. What are they going to do with it? Sell it? So, but there were plenty of people there. So it has to be something inside of people. And I'm not saying they wouldn't do it if it was a car of televisions in the United States. I don't know.
Yes.
But I see a lot more here. And so that's where I feel different. Because I don't understand it. I don't understand what goes through someone's mind when they play music in their car so loud and they just don't think, I don't care about my neighbors. I don't care about who hears me. And we say, hey, can you please turn it down?
Yeah.
And they're like, fuck you. Like, how could a country be so friendly to people and yet not care at the same time?
Yes.
That's to me.
You have these guys, some of them, they are from the periphery. They want to show off. Some of them, they don't have driver's license. Yeah. But others, they are rich guys.
Yeah, oh yeah. That's even worse. Those are the worst ones.
Yes, and they think they are above the law. So I think both of them, of these groups, they have in common that they don't care.
Here, I've seen something I've never seen before in my life as well. And I promise you, I've seen nicer cars in the United States. I'll see somebody with a Hilux, and they park in 2 parking spaces.
Yes.
Because they're like, I don't want somebody to hit my car. So it's like they own the area. And to me, that's so bizarre. This idea of like, I have this car, so I deserve better treatment.
Yes.
Those things I just don't understand. I can't wrap my mind around it. I can't understand it. And I feel like so frustrated by it because I feel like I'm helpless to do anything.
Is there something here that, when you are here, you miss about your home country?
Exactly that. If I called the police in Greenville, Ohio right now and said, I believe there's a man trying to break in my house, the average, let's see here, average police response time. The average police response time in the United States is 5 to 10 minutes. So I know it'd be in 5 minutes. If I lock my keys in my car, I could call the non-emergency police and say, hey, you know, I'm really late for work. It depends on the police officer. But in a small town, I can call the police, and the police will come and unlock my car door for me. No problem.
Mm-hmm.
If I feel like I have protection, not a safety net. Brazil has a safety net for finances and stuff. But I have like a different safety net.
Mm-hmm.
If my neighbor was playing loud music, I could call the cops and they'll be like, "We'll be there immediately." And they'll get out and be like, "Hey, turn on your fucking music." And if you do it again, I'll arrest you.
Yes.
Here they'll be like, "I don't even want to get involved. There's a bunch of drunk people there, and I don't want that stress. It's not my problem." I've heard my friend's a police officer, and he told me, he said, "There's just sometimes times when it's not an emergency, and you just rather avoid the situation."
Let me stop here, Justin. I need to go to the